Video number 157, finding trig function values for common angle measures. Start off with the 30-60 review. There's our 30. There's our 60-degree angle. The pattern is that the side opposite the 30-degree angle will always be half of its hypotenuse whenever you're dealing with a 30-degree angle. After doing the Pythagorean theorem, you'll get square root of 3 for this. Therefore, we can answer these 4 questions. The 45 would be half of a square. In other words, the isosceles right triangle would have these two angles at 45 degrees. Well, if it's isosceles, those two are 1, and then if you do the Pythagorean theorem, the hypotenuse is square root of 2. This is very memorizable stuff and very doable for you to do. I mean, you can definitely do the 30, 60, and 45, 45. These are workable. Sine 45, that points us here. Opposite over hypotenuse puts us at 1 over root 2. Rationalize the denominator, square root of 2 over 2. Alright? Cosine 30. Here's your 30. Well, cosine would have you do adjacent over hypotenuse, so therefore square root of 3 over 2. Okay? Tangent 60. That takes us here. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, so therefore square root 3 over 1. Okay, cosecant 30. Well, cosecant is sine's inverse. So what is sine 30? Sine 30 is 1 over 2, so therefore the cosecant of 30 is 2 over 1. Okay, secant 60. Well, secant is cosine's inverse. Well, cosine 60 is also 1 over 2, so therefore secant is 2 over 1. Secant 60 is 2 over 1. Cotangent 45. Well, tangent 45 is opposite over adjacent, 1 over 1. And then adjacent over opposite would be 1 over 1 as well, so you'd still get a 1 here. Now, the point to this exercise here is that we are going to use these two diagrams, so you want to get very familiar with these when dealing with these angles. Well, sine of 120. This is the same thing as, it's basically going to be the same thing as sine 60. Here's why. What we're going to do is, we're going to go 120 degrees in this direction. It's going to take us 30 degrees past 90. Then we're going to draw a reference angle. That's going to make this 60. You have to memorize what's going on. That's a 1, that's a 2, that's a root 3. What's the sine of this angle? Well, it's opposite over hypotenuse, which is root 3 over 2. Is sine positive or negative? Well, x, y. How do you get to x and y? You got to go negative x, positive y, therefore negative cosine, positive sine. Alphabetical order. It all works out. So therefore, sine of 120 is going to be root 3 over 2 because the sine of 60 is root 3 over 2, and we're in quadrant 2, and the cosine, excuse me, the sine is positive in quadrant 2. Okay, cosine 240. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go 90, 180. We're going to go 60 more degrees. That's going to take us here. That's going to have that right angle, and our reference angle is 60 again. Well, that's 1, that's root 3, and that's 2. What's the cosine of that angle? It would be adjacent over hypotenuse. It would be 1/2. But how do you get to this position? You got to go negative x, negative y, therefore negative cosine, negative sine, therefore the answer is negative 1/2. Alright, tangent 300. Tangent 300. We're going to go all the way past 270. How far past 270? 30 degrees. In fact, we're going to be 60 degrees shy. 60 degrees shy of 360. That puts us at a 1, a root 3, and a 2. Tangent is opposite over adjacent, so therefore square root 3. Is it positive or is it negative? Well, in order to get to this point, you'd have to go positive x, negative y, therefore tangent, is it positive or negative? Definitely negative, so you'd put down negative root 3 would be the tangent of 300 degrees. Okay, cosecant 225. Cosecant 225. First, let's find out where we are. We are definitely halfway between 180 and 270. That would give us a reference angle of 45 degrees. Therefore, 1, 1, and square root 2 if you zoom in on this triangle here. So now we're dealing with 45, 45. Well, cosecant again is sine's inverse. Therefore, first of all, what is sine of 45? It would have been 1 over root 2. So sine 225 would have been 1 over root 2. Therefore, cosecant would be square root 2 over 1. Then, how do you get over here? You got to go negative x, negative y. Therefore, negative cosine, negative sine. If sine's negative, cosecant will be negative, so it's negative square root 2. It's really this easy, guys. If you know these, and you know the alphabetical order, you're in good shape. Secant 135. Where does that take us? Secant 135. Well, 135 is halfway between 90 and 180. That takes us to yet another 45, 45 right triangle, the right isosceles triangle, making another 45-degree reference angle. Secant is cosine's inverse. Okay. What's the cosine of 45? It would have been 1 over root 2. Therefore, we're talking about square root 2 over 1. Is cosine positive or negative here? How do you get here? You got to go negative x, then positive. You got to go to the left and then up. So negative x, positive y, negative cosine, positive sine. Therefore, negative square root 2. Okay, cotangent negative 150. Negative 150 is where? We're going to, instead of going this way, negative 90. Instead of negative 180, it's 30 degrees short of negative 180. That tells us the reference angle is 30 degrees. 1, square root of 3. 2, cotangent, well, tangent would have been 1 over root 3. So therefore, cotangent is going to be square root 3 over 1. Is, what's going on here with tangent? Well, we know that cosine and sine are both negative, therefore tangent is positive. So the answer is positive root 3. Guys, it's really that easy. I know we dove in and took a look at some more angles, but the bottom line is if you can do the 30s and 45s, you can do 120s and 150s and you know, all these other ones, 240s, 225s, 135s, 300s, 315s, 310s, and everything. So good luck. Good, or 210s. Excuse me, what is it? Well, let's talk about it. Which ones can you do? You can do 30, 60, 45. You can do what? 120, 150, 135. You can do 210, 2